just starting the webinar, but we've got 2 log-ons. That's pretty interesting. I'll just fix up this technical glitch and we'll get started. Someone else is on. Okay, hopefully I can tell that a colleague of mine is too near and that's what's giving us the feedback, so I'm going to ask them to relocate. That is the issue. I think we should be good and we can load our video now. We've got the sound sorted. Thank you for your patience. Okay, and we have video. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for today's webinar. Today we are talking Google Analytics, and you can engage with us on the text chat on the right hand side of your screen at any time. I see some of you have been doing that already. I'm not your presenter today, just facilitating, and I have here sitting with me the amazing, the incredible Emmeline. So you'll laugh, I've roped in another Kiwi, to be honest. Seem to have quite a few Kiwi guests. There's some clever Kiwis out there and on our team. Emmeline lives here in Australia though, and has done for a long time like myself, just down the road in Brisbane. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic and learn a whole bunch about Google Analytics and specifically the more advanced aspects of it. So I'm just going to share my screen and pull up some slides. And I'll probably turn off my video at the same time. It's just loading. So hopefully now you can see the slides. Still getting some feedback. I'm not sure why. Can't work out what that sound is. I'm just going to stop sharing and see if we can resolve that sound issue, because I think that will continue to be a problem. It's possible. I haven't had this sound issue before. I can see that feedback doing it, and I'm in a very quiet room. We could try another location. Wonder if it's not that.
I can turn that off now anyway.
Yeah. We're trying to turn off any tech equipment near us and see if it makes a difference. Does that get any less? Have you got some on your end? Sorry guys, we really want to sort the sound out before we get into it. That seems to have resolved it. Okay. Yay. All right, let's go back to screen sharing and we can enjoy a nice presentation without any bad, horrible sound, which will drive us all crazy. Yeah. Okay, we have a screen. As I will start again. Yvette here from the Creative Collective and the Training Collective talking about advanced analytics. So we're really excited to have Emmeline Dorsey from our team. We work with Emmeline mainly virtually, but she is actually just down the road with us in Brisbane. And Emmeline, you work from home around your little boy, don't you?
I do, yeah.
The lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
Which we think is awesome that our team can do that. So here's what we're going to run through today, as was advertised. We're going to talk about the importance of adding conversion tracking pixels to your website to track the effectiveness of your campaign, but indeed any digital marketing. So whether you're doing a full-blown campaign or just wanting to measure how your new online business is working, or even your existing one, this for us is essential stuff. Interestingly, this topic has not been as popular as some, but it's a shame because I think this is the essence of how you actually really drive results with digital marketing. So it is quite geeky, can be a bit technical, but Emmeline's pretty amazing at making it seem simple. So I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it. We're going to introduce you to, if you haven't heard of it, Google Tag Manager, let you know how Facebook fits into this whole piece, know how to schedule reports from Google Analytics, which is always a good prompt to see how things are going, understand what attributions are, how to filter out your IP, we'll explain that some more, how to set or enable demographics, set up goals and what goals are, and even really more advanced stuff, which is custom reporting, dimensions, and filters. So a really quick overview, what is digital analytics? It's a combination of web analytics, marketing campaign measurements, data visualization, and social media metrics. So in short, if you're doing any kind of digital marketing, if you're not stopping and checking how it's performing, you could be throwing a lot of money down a very deep well. And you could be getting way better results if you just actually take the time to have a look at what's going on. So I want to also do a big disclaimer that this was advertised as an advanced analytics course. So we're going to presume today that you've already got Google Analytics on your website. If you don't, you might want to look at our module, Introduction to Google Analytics. I think it's actually called Online Web Stats. You can purchase that for $49.95 or engage in our whole Get Up to Speed program, which is on the Training Collective website. We're going to assume that's repeated itself. We're also going to assume that if you're selling items that you have got some e-commerce conversion tracking on, though Emmeline is going to cover that off a little more. So in short, that you'll already have it. Oh, the second one was goals. We will cover that a little more, but we do cover it in the initial one of what they are. So anyway, that's enough about me and what we're going to cover today. Let's move on to Emmeline. So tell us a bit about yourself, Emmeline.
Yeah, as Yvette mentioned, I'm originally from New Zealand as well, another Kiwi. So at the end of 2006, I finished up at uni and decided to make the big move over to the Gold Coast. Worked down there for quite a few years and then made the move to Brisbane after a while. I'm also the mum of a little 3-year-old boy, so he keeps my hands full. And I started working really in the digital space back in 2007 when I started doing search engine marketing and learned everything that goes along with that, including analytics along with it. So I learned most of this from Alistair Loxton, who you may have noticed in some other webinars. He's hosted a few from time to time. And he's been working in this space since the dawn of Google AdWords. So great person to learn with. And along the way, also attended many training events and that kind of thing. And just continued my learning ever since, because this is a fastly evolving space and nothing stays still for very long at all. So just got to keep up with what's new all the time.
I mean, just to give an example of that, we had the biggest update in 15 years on Google AdWords 2 weeks ago, didn't we? I mean, we're not talking about that today, but as a side note, do you want to tell these guys what that was?
Yeah, so essentially since Google AdWords started, the ads have always been the same. You've had the same character limits, which was always 25 characters for the headline and 35 for 2 description lines each, and then also a display URL of up to 35 characters. So what Google has done in the last couple of weeks is actually change that up completely, and now we have 2 30-character limit headlines, 1 great big long headline description line that's 80 characters. And also, instead of having a display URL that has to include the domain name and is 35 characters in total, this is kind of slipped under the radar, but I think it's actually quite important. Now, it doesn't matter how long your domain name is, you're not going to get penalized, and that if you've got a big long one, you can't fit any keywords after it for your display URL. Now you've got 2 lots of 15 characters to put some keywords in that display URL as well. So massive change.
It is a big change. And I guess the action would be, if you are running AdWords, to make sure you speak to the person who looks after those for you about what their plan is to basically make the most of this additional character space. And if you run it yourself, that's something that you probably want to get across if you're not already, because I've also heard that by the end of the year, they'll make everyone have those character counts. So you might as well do it now rather than wait.
Yeah.
So Emmeline, Google Analytics, what is it for those that are kind of new to it?
Basically, Google Analytics is a bit of code that you put on your website, and it can track almost anything you want to know about your website. So you can get the very basic stats like we see on the screen, the number of people that go to the site, which is counted as users, the number of total visits to the site, which is counted as sessions, page views, so the number of pages that all those individual sessions have gone to on your website. And yeah, pretty much anything you want to know, even things like where that traffic came from in the first place. So, they're on your website, but you know what happened sort of just before that as well.
So in short, it measures the performance of your website. And again, if you're looking for those basic stats and just dipping a toe in Google Analytics, we're not covering that stuff today. You'd be better to look at the previous module where I do orientate you around what those stats are, what they mean, what to look for, what's good, what's not. So we'll move on from that and assume that knowledge right now. So first task or action today would be make sure you've got Google Analytics on your website. Second up, what do we got?
Next up, we've got Google Webmaster Tools. So the reason we want to touch on this right at the start and why it's so important is if you're running Google Analytics and you're running Facebook ads, you're running Google AdWords, you've got Google Webmaster Tools. Sorry, I'm thinking Google Tag Manager. I'm ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Sorry, just got ahead of myself.
We better explain just what is Google Webmaster Tools.
Yeah.
And that we need to get that set up as well.
Yeah, so Google Webmaster Tools is essentially, the essential one-stop place you need to have for SEO and just to check the general health of your website. Google Webmaster Tools will be able to give you security alerts, for example, if your website gets hacked. You might not have even realized that it's down, but Google Webmaster Tools will let you know. And Google Webmaster Tools also generally helps Google to recognize your website and crawl your website. So it's a really important one to have in place.
Yeah. So in summary, Google Analytics is the performance of your website. Google Webmaster is the health of your website. Keep those in mind. And you need both of them set up before we're about to show you what we're going to show you. So point 2, get Google Webmaster Tools set up and verified on your website. Next is AdWords, right? If we're doing it, or would you do this even if you're not doing it?
Well, no, you'd have to be doing it to set this up.
Okay.
Yeah, you could go and do it just in case, but there's not really any point unless you are running an AdWords campaign. So just a really, really quick touch on AdWords itself. If you want to get more traffic to your website, if you want to get pre-qualified traffic for people that are searching for what you've got to offer, do Google AdWords. Once you've decided you want to do that, you really should set up some conversion tracking. So if you want to track people that fill out a lead form, for example, you go and set up AdWords conversion tracking to measure the people that hit the page that says, thank you for filling out this lead form. And these are the basic steps of going about it. So you pick the conversion source first, what type of conversion it is. A lot of the time, these will be website conversions, but you can see there's other types as well, such as app, phone call, or you can import offline conversions as well. And then you just adjust the settings so it makes sure to track that it's tracking what you actually want it to track, and review and install.
Because a good company like ours will actually make sure this is all set up before they start the campaign. So you could just turn on Google AdWords. You will just see some new traffic from AdWords if it's working well in your analytics, won't you? But you won't actually see what's resulting from this traffic. So this is the difference. If you actually set this up, we love putting it in because then we can prove to our clients we're getting them results. When they say, oh, but this hasn't happened, we can say, yes, but you got 30 phone calls from your AdWords this month and you got all this extra traffic and these people filled in a form. So it becomes really tangible. And that's what we love about digital. Hey, you can totally see what's happening from your spend.
Yeah, and it also just means you can optimize really well because you can figure out exactly what keywords have driven those conversions and even what keywords lead to what different types of conversions. So you know, advertising on keyword XYZ brings through heaps of phone calls. So that's great if what your objective is for the phone calls. But then your keyword ABC might get people filling out the forms and you want to do that, or you push that more.
Yeah, pretty awesome insight. So once you've gone ahead and set up, if you're running AdWords, your AdWord conversion tracking, your Google Webmaster tracking, regardless if you have a website, and your Google Analytics tracking, what do you do with it, Emmeline?
Well, you could go ahead and put all those codes individually on the site, But that's not ideal because then it can sort of slow down the site a bit because all these different codes have to fire in order to be able to track everything. So one really good thing to do, and this is where I got ahead of myself before, is to go ahead and set up Google Tag Manager. So the great thing about Google Tag Manager is you can have set up all those scripts for all the different things you want to track, and then you just go and set them all up within Google Tag Manager itself. And then the Google Tag Manager code is the only code that you actually need to put on the website. And just a little note as well, if you're going to put Google Tag Manager, make sure, say you've already had Google Analytics tracking on the site, make sure you actually put that within Tag Manager and remove the analytics tracking. Otherwise, you will find conflicts and some things that can happen, for example, when there's both Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, is that your page views get overcounted and your bounce rate shows as much, much lower than it actually is. So you're not going to get realistic stats if you have those two codes conflicting.
That's interesting. I've got a client at the moment with like a 2% bounce rate, and I'm thinking that's not right. So that could be what's going on with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way I explain Google Tag Manager as a concept to clients is think of it as a filing cabinet, and then think of Google Analytics in one file and Google Tag Webmaster in another, and the Google Ad conversion stuff in another. So it's all in one nice, neat, tidy filing cabinet. So if you need to update it, you just open that file, change it, and it's not ruining your site in the same process, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of explaining it. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Because there's also always our developers that we love that sometimes delete the code, don't they? So it's hard for them to delete little bits if it's all in one tidy file.
Exactly. Then they can just put the overall Google Tag Manager code back on the site and it's all good to go again.
Yeah, we love Google Tag Manager. In short, we really just use that on all our sites now, and would recommend that other people do too.
And your point of having the code deleted it sometimes too, sort of brings me back to another really good point. It's really good to have all this stuff set up from the start. Sometimes, we get clients go, oh, can you set up analytics? And will that give me the data for the last, 2 years that my site's been running? No, until you've got all this code in place, nothing's going to track. So
from the day you get it working. Yeah. And even then when you put it on, you've got to go check that it is actually working, don't you? Because sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So this is really just what it looks like. So there's filing cabinets for a couple of different clients there. And then inside there is you could consider the files, the tags, right? So do you want to just quickly take them through this, how this looks and works?
Yeah, so basically what you do is you set up these tags within Google Tag Manager. And as you can see with this particular client we've got here, they've got Facebook running and Google AdWords and Google Analytics. So we've got all the code in here. We only need the one Facebook code, but we're actually doing remarketing for them and tracking conversions. So in the old days, Facebook had a different sort of pixel, but now you just need one Facebook pixel. We chuck this in here and do everything we need to within Facebook itself.
And that's another good reason why Google Tag Manager is good, because Facebook does change, how they do their reporting and conversion. So you can just take their change, update it in the filing cabinet, and all is good. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Moving on. So we're not going to talk much about Facebook, but it's also a good idea to get that on if you do Facebook as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good for, like with AdWords, there's different things you can track. Facebook Pixel is great. As I was alluding to before, it's a one-stop shop. So you set up your Facebook Pixel and then you can create custom audiences with that. You can create remarketing lists with that. So once people have been to your website and say they haven't converted, you can then do the stalker ads where you can remarket to them until they actually do go and convert. And obviously the obvious one of tracking conversions.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about Facebook Pixels, how to put them on, what else you can do, what's this custom audience that Emmeline's talking about, check out our Facebook ads online module where we've got a couple of great webinars on that topic. So moving on, if we've gone ahead and we've set up our filing cabinet, Google Tag Manager, and all those different files first and put them on, now we can kind of start playing with Google Analytics, can't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So what can we do?
Okay, so with Google Analytics, we can look at the basics, which have obviously been covered in previous webinars, or we can go and do a few advanced things so we see more the data that we want to see when we log in. So the first thing I'm going to touch on for doing that is custom dashboards and reports. With the custom
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
So you want to go to live?
Yeah.
Okay. Going to help Emmeline drive because she happens to be on my machine that she's not that used to. So we go over into audience. Is this what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once you're in the analytics account itself, any of the screens that you see, so this audience overview, for example, if you want to create a dashboard for that, all you have to do is go up here, add to dashboard, and then, for example, you might want the graph that you can see just behind this box showing the number of sessions. So you just click on that.
Grayed out. I have to do that.
And we'll just create a new dashboard here. So we'll just go example, and I missed out that E there.
That's big here. That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Example dashboard. Cool. And then we go sessions, add to dashboard. Now, we might be really interested in the locations that people visit the site from. So we'll go down to the geo section and locations. And we are interested in not the worldwide, we just want to look at the visits from Australia. So we'll go into Australia, and we could either see this at the state level, or we could go, so we've got state level there. Oh, sorry, I'm not used to driving this laptop. Or we could go, no, we actually are more interested in the cities. So now that we've found the data we actually want, showing the cities that people are going to the site from. Sorry. Yeah, so Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, etc. You can see there. We go, okay, we're quite interested in this data, so let's add this to our dashboard too. Select new dashboard, and we'll go geomap and table this time.
So would you create a new dashboard or add them to the example dashboard? I guess it depends what you're trying to do. So you could do a dashboard all about your geo stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sorry, that was what I was trying to say. So you could have, a geo dashboard, you could have a social dashboard, or you could just have it all in one. So this is the new dashboard I just created. And for example, if I wanted to see people's age and have that in my overall example dashboard, we'd just go add to dashboard and select the example one this time around. Mm-hmm. So we'll just go table, and now we should see those two different widgets showing on our dashboard. So we can do any of these dashboards, and we can put any of the information we want to see at all whatsoever in the dashboards.
Because different metrics matter for different clients, don't they? And usually the conversation with every client we meet is, what are you trying to do here? And that's a challenge I throw back at everyone listening. Get really clear on what it is you're trying to do, because a lot of clients we ask that, they can't articulate it, and we have to sort of pull it out of them bit by bit.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. So that is the custom dashboards. Now, moving on. Custom variables. So custom variables is also referred to as custom reporting. And it looks like a bit of a big jumble here when you look at it, but it is a bit more straightforward than that. So you just go down to the custom section here, custom variables, and it will take you straight into the customization tab once you click customize. So essentially, anything you can think of almost, Google Analytics can do. You've just got to figure out how you want to see that and what data you're after. So an example with a custom report might be with the age and gender that we want to see that. So we've got our different metrics groups here, and we can see all of this information, but let's say
would you try and work out as like which genders buy the most or something?
Yeah, you could do that sort of thing. Yep. Yeah. So you just you'd find all the data that you wanted, and you just create that custom report itself. Or you can do most of the stuff within the normal reporting tab as well. So you just have to figure out what's the best way of displaying it for you. So, for example, with the age and gender thing, demographic, sorry. If we go to age, we've got that here, and we can go and look at our goals, for example, and see which particular age converted. And then what we could do in the custom reporting is put together age and gender and see it all.
So if you see in this example, there's not huge data, but of all goals, the 35 to 44s convert the best on goals, 4%, which is pretty good because 1 to 2% is about what we see on a site, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's the basics of creating custom dashboards. It's quite in depth there, so I've just created, shared a little link here so that you can go and find more information on what you want to create, because really it does depend what your objectives are, and it's just going to get confusing if I go and do lots of examples, but it's not what you're after.
So it probably depends there if you're working in a few people environment where maybe the bosses are saying, I'd really love to know, sitting around some, meeting, if what this and that is. So knowing that that's there, you could potentially go and find how to do that. If you are a sole trader and you really can't get your head around what you might need, then you might like to engage a professional services, and we'd be happy to have a chat with you. Obviously, that would be a paid service to work that all out, and it's probably going to involve a bit of whiteboarding. But once we've done that, we can go and prepare a report for you.
Then another thing that's quite important, and it's very similar to custom reporting, but in a different way, is creating custom segments. So custom segments is, again, really working out what information you want and then creating the custom segment. So in any report, you can then go look at that custom segment and see what information it gives you. So we'll jump back here into analytics.
So is there a way you would define those two, custom reports versus custom segments? Segments suggests more of a slice of the pie than the whole pie, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly how I'd describe it, really. The custom report is getting the different information you want and seeing it as an overall report with different stats. So you might have your bounce rate, your number of sessions, your goal conversions, that sort of thing. Whereas the custom segment is picking out the bit of traffic that you want to look at. So maybe picking out the fact that you want to look at anyone that's 25 to 34 going to the site, and then exploring through all the different things that you can see in analytics what those 25 to 34-year-olds are doing. So let's look at that segment by adding a segment here, and we just go down here to custom. You'll see there are, before I do, you'll see there are some predefined segments and also some other ones that have probably been added in here at some stage. So you'll always find organic traffic and paid traffic, for example, segments, referral traffic. So you can see what those particular audiences are doing. And then if you go to custom and new segment, we can say, I was talking about the 25 to 34s.
That seemed to be a good audience for this particular website.
Yep, so we'll just go 25 to 34 and segment name up the top, not down the bottom. So we'll go 25 to 34-year-olds and save. So now what we have is essentially for any report really that we want to look at, we can see what the 25 to 34-year-olds are doing. So, for example, if we want to see where the 25 to 34-year-olds are from.
So it maintains that segment that you've applied, as you can see there.
Yeah. So, yeah, the segment basically stays there until you remove it, and all you have to do is click remove. But then if you want to see it again, like I'm going to go to mobile devices and see what people are using to access the site. At the moment, this is all users' information, and we can scroll down, if I can scroll, and we can see most of the people are going to the site on an iPhone and then an iPad. So let's see specifically what the 25 to 34-year-olds are doing. Sorry.
That's all right.
So not used to that.
Yeah.
All right, so now we want to check on the 25 to 34-year-olds. So here's our segment that we created later. We'll just tick that. And we could have multiple segments as well, but we'll just have the one segment at the moment just to make it easier to look at. So now we've got the 25 to 34s.
They're all iPhone users.
Yeah.
How about that?
All on the iPhone.
Which is pretty
else.
common for Australia, by the way. If your audience is predominantly Australian, we are heavy Apple iPhone users, which is not the case in other countries. So, good reminder that it's designed for the Apple iOS system.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So that's custom segments in a nutshell. And then our next thing is understanding attribution. So just as important as it is really to actually have the tracking set up in the first place is actually understanding how the tracking works. So when you've got a goal set up, a conversion set up, you need to understand where that conversion is going to be attributed to. So I've actually stolen this image from a vet. So understanding attribution can actually be described a bit like a game of basketball. So in a game of basketball, it isn't just the person that actually shoots the goal in the end. It's also important the assists and in that goal being shot, achieved, and the slam dunk. Just as assists are important in a game of basketball, assists are also important in analytics.
If I could just add to that, a conversation we have with a lot of clients is social media doesn't work. It doesn't make me sales. But that depends what it's contributed in the attribution channel. So, Emmeline will explain the different parts of attribution here. And then you can look at social media with a different kind of perspective, understanding it's still made a big contribution. Anyway.
All right. So there's many, many different types of attribution that we can look at. Sort of the default, I guess, that most people use a lot of the time is the last interaction. So with the last interaction, the conversion just gets attributed to the very last way that somebody got to your site before they actually made the booking, if it's bookings that they're making. So they could have come to the site originally from a search engine marketing ad, and then they might have come back through organic search, and then they could have come directly, and the direct search is the only one because that was the last one before they made the booking that'll count towards the booking itself. And the last non-direct click attribution model, basically the direct clicks are ignored, and whatever traffic source generated clicks to the site before that direct one that made the booking, that is what the booking will be attributed to. And the last AdWords click attribution model, it's the last click that came through from paid search. So that's pretty straightforward. And the first interaction model, it's the very first time people came to the site and how they got there, that gets attributed to the sale. And the linear attribution model, every touch point gets an equal credit. So if people came through from paid search, social network, email, and direct, for example, they'd all get 25% attribution towards the sale. And the time decay model, it is last click, and everything before that was important in lesser degrees, basically back to the original one that was maybe so long ago that it's not really getting any credit.
And I really would love it if more people would learn this concept because, as you pointed out, most only understand the last interaction. My sales are only coming from Google AdWords, social doesn't work. Or they're saying, I'm not getting any sales from it. I really like the linear attribution model because if someone does see it in paid and search it and find it in social, they are all contributing to that person getting to know your brand and ultimately knowing, liking and trusting it and buying. And even the first interaction, I think, is really valuable because they wouldn't know about your company if someone didn't make that happen.
Absolutely.
So, let's take a closer look at how you look for these in Google Analytics and work out what is actually working for you in terms of all your marketing.
And I love the way that you're referring to it with social, because it's so true. So many people think social is really not doing anything, but most people don't book on the first touch point with social. They don't go and like your Facebook page and then make a booking for 2 nights accommodation somewhere or whatever it might be that you're selling. Most people like your page and they sort of hang around, see your posts, and it might be months and months later before that booking actually comes through. But if it wasn't for social in the first place, they might have never heard of you.
Mm-hmm.
So with a live demo, understanding attribution, let's jump in there. And as well as the actual attribution models, I'm going to show you the, sorry, I'm having trouble.
You can go up or down.
Go down, but I want to just go down here, so I should just
Okay,
go here.
another way.
Yeah. Sorry, not acquisition, conversions, attribution. So here's the model comparison area. And the other thing I really want to show you, just to help you understand it as well, is multi-channel funnels, because that's a really good visual way as well of seeing where the conversions came in from. So you can see here, we've got last interaction as default, and we can see 7 conversions coming through from direct traffic. That's people just going straight to your website. 7 from organic traffic, organic search, and 2 referrals. Then we can change up the attribution model to any of the other ones that we want to look at all. And so last non-direct click, for example, we can see the numbers here change around a fair bit. So organic search now is the one that brought in most of the conversions. And then we'll just do another one, for example. Linear is the one that Yvette likes, so let's check this one out.
I just think it's fair that everyone's contributed gets their little,
Yeah, I agree.
But
it's actually a really good way of doing it, because then the different touch points in the path don't get missed out. And, some consumers can take dozens of touch points before they actually convert. So it's really good to have it all in there. And we can see the numbers are reasonably different, but they're not too dissimilar from our first one. But it's probably just there's not a lot of data with this one as well. So we'll look at multi-channel funnels as well, just to give you another visual way of putting this together. So top conversion paths is really useful, because you can go down and see, and I just broke that again. Sorry.
She didn't break it. She's just not used to Macs.
I'm really not used to Macs. So you can actually see with this one, we've just got 5 conversions showing here, and they actually all started out as direct. This is probably quite an unusual case. We don't see very many that are this similar. So let's just change the date range. So we've got a bit more data to look at, and then we might have a bit more of an interesting conversion path to see. All right, this looks a little bit better. You'll normally see a bit more of a mix here. Awards Hub, I don't think really needs to do much paid search, so there's nothing popping in there. But for different websites that need to do lots of different marketing, you'll see lots of different channel groupings coming in here.
So you would see social if we were doing paid social, which we haven't this year much.
Exactly, yeah. So with this particular one, you can see that most of the conversions have come through originally on organic search, and then the last touch point before the conversion happened was direct. And there's quite a lot coming through direct to start with, and then we've got a direct and then a referral site and then direct again. So yeah, just a really good visual way of showing how those conversions can be attributed.
That's a great one. We should be encouraging everyone to go and have a look on that, I think, because everyone's would be very different, every single client's, I imagine. Yeah,
it's definitely very different. I might just pop into a client's analytics and quickly show you one that I know will be quite different to this.
I'm not sure you're in that account. Do you want to go to Lake?
Yeah.
Maybe under here. This is the other benefit of working with professionals, I guess, that we are across so many different accounts and we see so many things pan out. And as a result of that, we can tell you what's up, what's down, what's usual, what's unusual. So I think I just saw the one you're looking for there. Nope.
No.
Must be under, is it under 4 or 3?
No, it's under the first one, under the main one.
Okay, maybe do a search. Is it WW or?
Oh.
Go again.
Here we are. Because it's current website and that's the way it's named.
Okay. And we go.
All right, so let's go and check out the top conversion paths in here.
Yeah.
I keep scrolling there, but it's here. I need to scroll anyway. It's all different when you're not in your own computer. All right, so the top conversion paths here should look pretty different. And then we can see paid searches popped into this one. So with these guys, most of the conversions that have happened in the last month have come through organic search and then direct, which is actually the same, but you can see there's a bit more of a mix here. So we've got a bit of organic, a bit of direct, a bit of paid search, and you can go further down the list and see, as the further you go down, basically, the longer you'll find these conversion paths are a lot of the time. And you'll see the mix here, for example, row 25 there, paid search, then display, which will be the remarketing ads that we're doing for these guys, social network, which is probably the Facebook ads we're doing.
I was going to say, does Facebook come under paid search or social?
Normally comes under social.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's lower than I would have thought, right? Is
it
lower to you than you would have thought?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so that is attribution and conversion paths.
Now, we've got some feedback that the windows are a bit small when we're in this view, so apologies for that. But because we're switching between, we can't put it in presentation mode because it slows the whole thing down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we're just using it as a reference point, and don't worry, you will get these slides as well. So, and you can watch this, you get the recording, so don't worry too much. So now, yeah, we're on to scheduling a report once you've customized stuff and seen what you want to see.
Yeah. So with scheduling a report, basically, just like with creating a dashboard, you can schedule a report from just about anywhere. So let's jump back up to just the audience overview. And to schedule a report, all you need to do within whatever window you're in that you want to check out the report on an ongoing basis, you just click email, add in who you want the report to go to. So I'll just send it to myself, and I can't even spell my own name.
Email, and you'll get bombarded. Emmeline, show me how to do this.
All right, so there is the report, and you can set it up to go in multiple ways. So PDF's quite good, especially if you're sending it to clients, then they can see visually all the graphs and that kind of thing. You can pick any frequency you like, daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. I would recommend, at least for the basic stats, having reports scheduled monthly at a minimum. Really, you should be checking in on everything more often than that. But if you send reports monthly, if you do forget to go in and keep an eye on things, at least you know you're getting that every month to look at. And then it's always good just to have a bit of an explanation. So just type in here something like, hi, please find attached the monthly report for the audience overview from Google Analytics and what website it's for.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also add reports to existing reports. So when you click on email here, if you've already got existing ones set up, instead of it being an individual new one that you're creating here, you've just got the option to add it to an existing email. So then you can build up quite a few different sections, like your audience overview, maybe the locations, age and gender, whatever it is that you want to see.
Awesome.
Then how to enable demographics. So I'm not going to be able to actually show you this because we've enabled demographics for all the analytics accounts that we're running, but this is what it looks like when you don't have demographics enabled. You essentially just go into the demographics tab that we were in earlier.
Is under audience?
Under audiences, yep, and go into demographics. And then once you're in there, you will see this. And all you need to do is hit this nice big blue enable button. And that's just really important so that you actually do track that information. You know, if you want to have any idea of the age and gender of people that are going to your website, so you know who to target when you do more advertising, then you need to enable that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool feature. I reckon Google brought about because Facebook gave you so much on that front, and previously Google didn't. But yeah, by default, it's not enabled and you won't have data. So it takes 2 seconds, as Emmeline has said. Just jump into your Google Analytics, click that button, and you'll start tracking that data, which is highly recommended.
Absolutely. Then the next thing that I want to show is how to filter out IP addresses. So don't worry if you don't know your IP address.
Can we explain what an IP address is first for those that don't know it?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Sorry, sometimes when you work in this space, you kind of forget that not everybody knows the same things as you because we all talk in our geek speak. And yeah, anyway, the IP address is basically the unique identifier for you and where you're from, your computer. So if you go to Google and just search, what's my IP? Google will actually tell you what your IP address is.
You could all do this now live if you wanted to. I'm doing it live here. There's my IP, 103.35, 0.83, 0.38.
That's it. So now what you do is just copy this, and I'm probably going to have trouble copying this because, I've got it.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's our IP address where we are right now. And the reason you'd want to filter out your IP address, I just want to flick back to the awards hub, so I'll just do it in there.
Yeah, no worries. I'll get you over there.
Cool. And yeah, the reason you'd want to filter out your IP address is so that if you're visiting your website all the time, and this especially matters in the early days, really, when you're not getting a lot of volume through, you don't want half of that volume to be showing as yourself. So you don't want to, have stats saying that you had 100 visits maybe in the last month, but 50 of those were yourself.
We had an example once, where a new accountancy firm launched a website with us, and they were really proud because in the first month they'd had 100 users. And I said, how many people in your company? And it was like, he said something like 50. And he said, they've all been on it all the time. And then I went, well, they're really bad web stats then, because probably we hadn't at that point filtered out the IP. Yeah. And I said, so they're probably all just internal use. So you're really not getting any traffic yet. So you want to eliminate it so you got a true result.
And you also want to make sure to eliminate people like your website team, whoever your developers are, because they'll be likely to be working on the site a lot, again, especially in the early days. And when there's any major changes or even minor changes going on. So yeah, just make sure to eliminate the IP address, because then you don't overcount and overestimate your traffic, and also go, well, if all these people are going to my site, why is no one converting?
So you know what you've got here? This is Grenfell is my home IP address. So that's good. I've already excluded that, but I haven't excluded this location, which is actually my work address. So great live example we're doing here now. So that's a good idea too, right? To filter your IP for home and work.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll just, create a new filter, and we'll go TCC IP, and you just select your filter type. We want to exclude source or destination is traffic from the IP addresses that are equal to, and then we simply paste it in there.
How easy is that?
And save, and now we've filtered all the traffic coming from TCC.
Yahoo! Are we making this exciting, filtering out IPs? I think it's exciting.
I think it just gives you much more integrity in your data, which, I find that exciting. We're geeks.
Yep.
And then another thing that's really good to filter is spam referrals. So I'm just going to pop into the referral section, because this is popping up on pretty much every website's analytics these days. Over the last year or so, maybe even longer, we have seen a whole ton of spam referrals creeping into the analytics. And what this is, I have read a bit about it, and it seems to generally be something to do with affiliate type programs. Not sure how exactly they're trying to make their money out of it, but sending traffic through to your site and maybe making money through some third-party affiliate program.
So she's gone acquisition, all traffic, referrals, if you want to find this. And I'm guarantee there'll be some spammy stuff in here, because I know I get spammy, web forms and things on the site. Definitely.
And we can see it here. Anything that looks kind of unusual, like the social buttons -III.xyz, generally you're going to find that that's spam. If you're not sure, just copy it into your browser, check out what it is. If it looks like crap, then it probably is. And all you need to do is grab this and copy it. And then we go back into the admin section where we were before. And instead of going into filters this time, we go into tracking info. And you'll find referral exclusion list. So we know that's exactly what we're after. And all you need to do here is literally paste in what you just copied and create. And that's now remove that traffic from your analytics going forward. It's a bit manual, so I would recommend if you've got a big list of referral spam in your referral table there in analytics, maybe copy and paste it or export it in Excel and have that on one half of the screen and this on the other half, and just go copy paste until you're done.
Yeah.
The other thing to note is that new spam referrals will probably crop up every month. So you should really, maybe when you get that report that you've emailed to yourself once a month, maybe make sure to have a referral sources section in there and go and do it once a month.
So, or that's something that whoever you're engaging for SEO could be doing as part of their monthly service.
Exactly. So that is referrals.
So we're getting quite close to time, so we might have to whiz through these, but we should certainly, we do talk about setting up goals, but we can probably whiz through it.
Yeah.
And e-commerce and how that varies a little bit as well. But we do talk about that in the other module I mentioned at the start.
All right, cool. So setting up goals. Basically to do this really quickly, setting up goals is working out what it is that you want to track. So we've been talking all the way along really about conversion tracking and working out where those conversions can be attributed to. So goals, if you go and set these up, really straightforward. You pick a goal. So you go new goal, you pick what the goal is, and then say we just want to track XYZ, whatever that is, people filling out a form called XYZ. We pick a goal slot for it to go to. Normally this will be the next one down on the list, but I didn't check how many goals there were there in the first place. You pick your destination or your duration, whatever it is that you want to be tracking. And then, so people that fill out the XYZ form go to a page on this website. In my fictional example, that's thank you XYZ. So thank you for filling out XYZ. And that will be the URL that they land on. This, you should always really have unique URLs, unique pages for when people have completed a goal. So a page that says, thank you for filling out XYZ. And then you can put the URL in and track people that get to that page, because people shouldn't be able to get to that page unless they've actually completed that goal. So
just to confirm, if you've got different forms on your website, you would have different thank you pages that would be connected to that form, because then in this way you'd put the unique URL for that thank you page. So as Emmeline says, if you could not get to that thank you page unless you had completed that form, it doesn't get indexed on Google, it's not found, and so on. So
yeah,
in this way you can track, if people completed something on your website you want them to complete, whether that be a product purchase, filling in a form, signing up for a newsletter, requesting a quote, etc. There's many different goals that you might want to do. You might again need help strategizing what they are, but you could certainly the most obvious ones that we always do, what are they, Emmeline? Like contact form, most businesses
forms
have.
Yeah.
Request a quote or inquiry, similar.
Yeah, all of those really. Also even just click to reveal phone numbers. So you could have your phone number not showing unless people click on a button for it to show. So then you can get a rough idea of how many people might call you from the website, that kind of thing. And then once you've decided on where this goal is, you can assign a value if you want, or you can leave that blank. So you might have something like someone filling out a lead form is worth $5 to you, depending on the lifetime value of a customer, or maybe someone actually signing up to do a course that might be worth $50 to you. Whatever it is, you can assign values or you can leave that as blank. And you also have the option of adding any goals to a funnel. So you can create a funnel of different steps that people might take to get to an overall end goal. So for example, you might want to track people that get to your contact page in the first place, and then you might have a contact form on that page that you want people to fill out. So this next step in the goal might be people that have actually filled out that form and get to the thank you for contacting us page. And that's essentially setting up goals. So
you could go back a step and maybe show them the ones that we've got for this website, just as some examples so they can see them.
Good idea.
Created. Yeah, so there's some for Awards Hub, which is one of my businesses. So the things I want them to do is obviously complete a contact form and say, I want to, use you or ask something, request a quote. We also have a service on there where you can search for $29 for awards that you might be eligible for. So we obviously want people to complete them. You can see we've had 2 in the past 7 days. We want people to submit awards that they know of are out there that, that's valuable. It helps us build our database. For some reason, there's 2. I'm not sure why. We want them to subscribe to our database as well and suggest awards that's similar to submit as well. So there's a couple of double ups there. I could do a bit of tidy up, but I've gone through and thought about what is it I want people to do on my site, whether mostly it breaks down to a lead or actual sale. Yeah.
And I think another thing this shows as well is really the importance of naming that goal as something that's really recognizable and you know exactly what people have done when they complete that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Then just quickly into e-commerce settings. So e-commerce, you can essentially just go ahead and enable e-commerce tracking if you
sell stuff
on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I might just really, really quickly now pop into, let's do the age example again, just so I can show you how these goals appear now. Oh, always having trouble every time I do this one. All right, so with that list of goals, when you're in almost any table in analytics, but a bunch of them don't show goals as well, so you've got to be aware of which ones do and don't. You can pick whatever goal it is and find where that came from. So what was the goal that we had some conversions in the last 7 days? Do you remember?
I think it was the search award.
Search award?
3. Yeah.
All right. So we can see that the search award goal was completed by, well, we had 4 by 35 to 44-year-olds, 3 25 to 34. So this is where goals are really handy, having different goals, and you can go and see what people did complete those goals.
That's pretty handy.
All right. So that was the goals, and then e-commerce tracking. So that's just an example of how e-commerce tracking does look on a site where it's enabled.
I might blow this one up because we're coming towards the end. And yeah, this is an example of a client site that we don't disclose who it is, but he has quite a healthy online store. And, in the past month, you can see there he's made about $37,000 worth of sales. His e-commerce conversion rate's 4.92, which is pretty up there, isn't it, Emmeline?
It's really healthy, definitely. Really healthy.
So his average order value, his transactions. So how awesome is this? He could be doing all this analysis in Xero and entering each and every transaction he makes online into Xero, or his bookkeeper could. Or if he's got all the e-commerce conversion tracking set up, which he does, he can simply log in and, as Emmeline showed us, email that report to himself once a month and see what his website's doing, whether it's up or down and so on.
Yeah.
Pretty helpful. So did you want to go over anything more e-com tracking, or I haven't jumped ahead too much for you?
No, that's probably about it, because, the main thing is that you can see these overall stats. You can drill down a bit further, and depending on how it's set up and how things are named, you can see individual transactions. You might be able to see what individual products were purchased in those transactions. Really, this is kind of advanced, and it depends on if you do actually have online ordering on your site. But really, I just play around with all the different areas within that e-commerce section and analytics and see what you can find in there, because it's really interesting. It's
probably also worth mentioning that some website platforms are really easy for us to work with e-com conversion tracking, and some are not at all.
Yeah. So
in the example on the screen, it's a Shopify site. We quite like Shopify for conversion. WordPress, we're quite big fans of. That works just fine for us.
Yeah.
What are there any that you've sort of found really tricky to get this conversion tracking working on?
More just really old sites that
custom sites,
or sites where the actual conversion happens in an iframe or something like that, rather than on the website. So it's run through some third-party service, and so it looks like it's all going on the website, but it's really done within an iframe or something. And that can make it really tricky.
And it's worth mentioning too that, you can have a fantastic web developer who makes a really pretty website, but they don't necessarily understand conversion tracking and marketing and actually making sales, which is a pretty big important part of it. You can have the best looking website in the world, but if no one is transacting on it, you're not going to get the money back in the door from investing and creating it in the first place. So kind of important that you do ask questions about conversion tracking if you're setting that up, and that if you don't have any of this set up and you're sitting there going, this would be really valuable to my business, that you go ahead and ask your existing team, or if you would like our help, of course, we'd be more than happy to hear from you on it. So Emmeline, give us the summary. We've covered all this today. Whew, it's quite a bit.
We have, yeah. So I guess the number one is, get tracking up. The most important thing before anything else, because you're not going to see any of this data, is to get tracking in place. You should know about Google Tag Manager and why that's good to use, and then get all your tracking in one place and make it easier. You should be able to now create some custom dashboards, some custom reports, some custom segments, and understanding attribution. So actually understanding how those conversions are getting attributed. You should be able to schedule a report to get emailed to yourself or your boss or your client, whoever it is. And you should be able to enable demographics so you actually can see some of that information that's quite interesting, like age and gender. You can also now filter out your IP address so you're not overcounting your traffic, and filter out spam referrals so that crappy spam that comes through every month, it's not going to show up in your reports in future from the ones you've filtered out anyway. And also know how to set up goals and e-commerce tracking.
That's awesome, Emmeline. That's some great stuff we've covered there. I've certainly learnt some things and brushed up on my skills. We'll flick over now to questions, but in case people do have to jump off while we field the questions, I've mentioned right throughout that there is another module with a webinar where we cover more basic Google Analytics introduction. The link for that is down below, so it's on the Training Collective website. It's right on the homepage. Look for the pink one called Intro to Online Stats, because obviously today was a bit more advanced than that. And if you have been watching this going, I love the idea of all of this, but I don't have time and I can't see myself doing it, it seems too difficult, we'd be more than happy to review your existing Google Analytics setup, enable stuff, and then just give you a debrief on how your website is tracking and working and what we'd recommend we do. If you would actually like us to implement the techniques covered in this webinar, like eliminate your IPs, customize your dashboard to stuff that's meaningful for you, get conversion tracking in place, we can't kind of quote that without knowing exactly what you're trying to do and without knowing how many conversions you might have. But our hourly rate is $120 an hour, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you to get you some really kick-ass data on what's going on in your business, which I think could be really valuable to you. So let's flick on over now. 2 questions. I hope you've all learned a lot today. Here we go. We had some complaints about the sound, but hopefully we got that sorted. Angela said everyone should be doing Google retargeting as a minimum. Yes. Yeah, I would recommend it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's really handy if people go to your website and don't convert particularly. So you can, have the stalker ads and follow them around until they do convert. It's really good for general branding and just keeping top of mind. You don't want a potential customer to get to your site, not have time maybe to make the booking or fill out the lead form or whatever it is at the time, and then just forget about you and end up Googling what you do again and being on your competitor's website in the end. So yeah, I definitely recommend retargeting.
Cool. And Beck has said, can sitemaps also be inside Tag Manager? I think a bit of confusion there, because that's not what you'd normally do with a sitemap, would you?
No, you submit sitemaps through Google Webmaster Tools.
Yeah. So sitemaps, we didn't really cover them, but you should, once you've created a website, get your sitemap and submit it to Google Webmaster Tools, which then is a live connection between Google Webmaster Tools and your website. So every time you add a new blog post, add a new page, update a page, it's saying to Google, hey, there's some new stuff over here to come take a look at, and it will crawl it faster. It's also a good way to just get on Google and get some rankings. We've met clients who have never done this and they've had a site for ages, and the moment we do it, it starts getting better rankings. It's just a really easy technique. Jessica said, will the slides be available? Yes, they will. And those links, I know, were really small on there, so you'll get those nice and easy. There's really not a lot of questions, not as many as we normally get. Does anyone else want to shoot one through? Because you've got a fountain of knowledge sitting here with Emmeline, so make the most of it while you can. All right, well, I'll ask you guys a question then. Who's going to go block their IPs straight after this, or who's already done it? Me, in progress, smiley face. Good
Cool.
one. Well, that's a good action from today. Who here is going to remove spam referral traffic? Kelly's going to do it after she eats lunch. Fair enough.
Good
We've got to do that too. Who's going to remove spam referral traffic and get a clearer idea of what actual traffic they've got? You do those two things, you are seeing the real results. Yeah, a few more people saying they are. That's awesome. Erin is saying, can you look at 2 web shops from one site in the e-commerce facility? I think she's trying to track 2 different shops inside an e-commerce facility. So have you got the one website, Erin? We have one with a login and one external. So probably a wholesale and a not wholesale, I'm going to guess. How would you do that, Emmeline? You would probably have one Google Analytics account, but 2 sub-accounts, would you, to track the different traffic?
Yeah, that might be the way to go about it. I think, this one's one where I'd really have to know more about exactly how it works, to give a proper answer. But I think that would most likely be the way to go with it.
Yeah, because you can have, if we flick over to Google Analytics, I can't think of an example where we have that. Maybe I'll go back to home. But see here, well, this is kind of an example. That's the company, but they had a couple of sites, so they're not live anymore. But you could have, one wholesale and one retail, and then even one that's all, because you might want to look at the data in different ways. Because if they are separate, you can't do tricky reports across the 2. You can only do reports within the one UA or Universal Analytics code, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's what she's after. Angela said, with one business, we're just setting up 3 sites for 3 different countries using Shopify, so the default currency is right for each geographic. Can we combine into one set of reporting under one Google Tag Manager or not?
No, I wouldn't recommend doing that. If it's 3 different sites, you're best to have an individual Google Tag Manager and Analytics for each site. Yeah.
So I get it, though. If you are sort of almost running 3 businesses, Angela, you would want to do the different ones, but you can get professional software that pulls all 3 into a dashboard, so you can look at the reports as one kind of group owner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That could be a way to do it. But you could also similarly just set up all those auto reports from Google Analytics, and you sit down to do your marketing analysis and look at those 3 reports. Cool. You guys are really thinking about this. It sounds like you've got some complex businesses and selling stuff all over the world, so that's perfect for what we've been teaching today. All the same business, 2 are hidden from submitting to Google as a duplicate content. Oh, well, that's a curious thing.
Yeah.
You'd need a strategy around that, really.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do to hide content if it's duplicate content, because that's never good for Google. You get penalised.
Yeah.
Can we recommend any good pro software that's not too expensive? They all kind of are quite expensive. SEMrush, do we use that still or not?
Not a lot, really. I'm trying to think of something that would be really good to pull it all into one.
A lot of them would charge you per account.
Yeah.
So there's not really efficiencies to be gained. You're looking at around $100 a month. I don't know if you deem that expensive or not. Probably minimum US as well. So, yeah, depends if you deem that expensive. But as you've seen, you can do a whole lot with Google Analytics. Everything we've showed you today is free. So that's the cool thing. Cool. Still more questions. When you look at the leads that are generated from Facebook ads, can you break down for specific ads? You'll do that inside Facebook, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, definitely more of a Facebook question. But in Facebook itself, once you've set up the Facebook pixel, there are either standard conversions that you can measure, or you can create custom conversions as well. and you can see any of the conversions at either the campaign level or the advert set level, which is basically your audience, or at the ad level itself. So yeah, you can see any and all of that in Facebook.
There we are. I just turned off that really weird window. I'm getting better at the system, but the content's there and the knowledge is there, as you can tell. Okay, I think we better log off now because people probably have to get some lunch. I know Emmeline does, and she's driven up from Brisbane. But thank you so much for your time, Emmeline. You've covered off some really great stuff, and we're really grateful that you could share all your awesome knowledge.
No problem. Thanks for having me on board for it.
You're welcome, everyone, saying thank you. We have more sessions coming up. They're on our website. Go to thecreativecollective.com.au/events, and there's everything from webinars to I'm speaking on Facebook ads next week in Caboolture, of all places. There's all sorts of things coming up. So just find us. We have trainers all over the country doing cool stuff all the time, and we love sharing our knowledge. So see you later. Have a good weekend, all.
Bye, all. Cool.